Outgunned and outmanned.
This week we've created a special episode to benefit Ukraine. It features some previously shown Teslacam stories from submitters in Ukraine, as well as some brand new stories. All the ad revenue generated by this video will go directly to helping the people of Ukraine. We've partnered with Razom for Ukraine, a YouTube-verified organization that is working with around 20 other humanitarian organizations to maintain a secure supply corridor from the United States to Ukraine.
My name is Dara Khumyak. I'm a native New Yorker. Didn't have a lot of time.
This shipping corridor includes warehouses in both Poland and Ukraine for transferring urgently needed supplies into the country. Below this video, you'll find a donate button. If you have even $1 to spare, we hope you'll consider joining us in supporting Razom for Ukraine. Every penny helps, and together we can make a difference and save lives. This is our very first video from the Ukraine. It's from the submitter EV Hub, who sent us this clip from his morning commute to work in Kiev. He was driving in the rightmost lane as he usually does every morning. However, this morning that lane was full of snow after the exit. The Tesla plowed deep into the snowbank, but he was able to back it out with the dual-motor all-wheel drive. Thankfully, there wasn't any damage, and he says that next time he'll do it again, but with twice the speed. Okay, he didn't actually say that, but it feels like a very European thing to do. We reached out recently to EV Hub and asked how he's doing now. He and his family are safe and still in Kiev. He tells us he's busy making fresh cocktails, if you know what I mean. He took this picture of his Tesla today. He uses it every day to bring food and water to the armed forces protecting Ukraine. He says it's the perfect car for the task since he never needs to buy gasoline for it, which is great since they're using all their gasoline for cocktails. He also sends his thanks to Elon Musk since the Ukraine fighters on the front lines are now using Starlink to communicate, which has been a huge help everywhere from battlefields to basements. In case you missed it, the Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine reached out to Elon and told him that while Elon is busy trying to colonize Mars, Russia is busy occupying Ukraine. He asked Elon to provide Ukraine with Starlink internet service, and about 8 hours later, Elon replied that Starlink had been activated in Ukraine and that a shipment of terminals was on the way. Just 1 day later, the Vice Prime Minister posted another tweet confirming they'd received the shipment of Starlink terminals. The Vice Prime Minister thanked Elon, and he replied, "You are most welcome." Here's another clip EV Hub sent us, which took place before the war. EV Hub was driving his Model 3 in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. The Mazda driver in front of him accidentally shifted into reverse and hit the gas when the light turned green. Police arrived at the scene pretty quickly, and they couldn't believe what had happened. The Mazda was stuck to the Tesla. The whole thing was sorted out quickly with the Teslacam footage as evidence. The airbags stayed intact, and the cost estimate for the repairs was approximately $4,000 US. Asura was sitting in the back seat of his Model Y while letting his father Igor test drive it. That's when an old Soviet car, a Lada Vaz 21063, lost control and crashed into them. The impact was in the back, right where Asura was sitting. The driver who hit them was a 78-year-old man who said the car just slipped out from under him, probably due to the fact that he was driving on nearly bald tires. They called the police, who arrived pretty quickly. They also filed an insurance claim on the scene. Since they don't have official Tesla service centers in Ukraine, Asura says they are forced to buy parts themselves. They placed an order for the parts, and the bill came to $15,000 US. The final price will definitely be much higher than that if they find any more damaged parts, but they'll have to wait for months for parts to be delivered before they can begin repairs. We managed to get in contact with Asura and asked how he's doing. Fortunately, he and his family are safe and are currently in the western region of Ukraine. He says the Ukrainian warriors are fighting for them like savage beasts, and that he's never been as proud of his country as he is right now. Asura managed to repair the Model Y shown in the previous story last month, and he also got a Model 3. He currently drives his Tesla almost 200 miles each and every day. His family owns a bakery, and they use their Teslas to deliver bread and provide transportation services since public transportation isn't available right now. Asura said the gas stations ran out of fuel 48 hours after the invasion began, and most of them limited gas sales to about 5 gallons per customer. He's very glad he's now able to help others out with his electric cars. Asura also wants to thank Elon for providing the people of Ukraine with Starlink service. He says he feels like this whole situation is a nightmare he can't wake up from. Here's another video from Ukraine. This submitter was commuting in the usual heavy evening traffic when he noticed one clever driver trying to cut in front of everyone. The driver proceeded to cut off a semi without realizing that those guys have pretty big blind spots in all directions. Unfortunately, Teslacam doesn't record audio, but the submitter says he could hear the truck driver screaming through his window about how unhappy he was with the situation. Lesson learned for all of us: don't be that guy. We got in contact with Vyacheslav. He told us he got his Tesla out of Ukraine and into Poland 4 days before the invasion, but when the conflict started, he traveled back into Ukraine to help. He called the situation an insane tragedy and horror that came to their homes, and he urges everyone to support the sanctions against Russia. He signed off by shouting, "Glory to Ukraine!" We'll just leave it at that. James' mother was driving her Volvo XC70 at around 70 miles per hour. She'd just come over a blind crest when she came across a man standing in the middle of the road. She tried to go around him on his left, but the man lunged into her path to pick up something from the road. Instead, she veered to the right and the car went flying off the road and ended up in a tree in someone's yard. The jaywalker then calmly walked over to the wrecked Volvo, but he took off as soon as neighbors arrived and other drivers stopped to help. Thankfully, everyone survived. Since the impact was on the rear end of the car, no airbags deployed. James' mother sustained a mild concussion, but her friend in the passenger seat walked away without a scratch. The car was deemed a total loss by her insurance provider. We tried to get in touch with James, but we haven't heard from him. We hope he's safe and sound. This submitter had parked his Model 3 in Kharkiv, Ukraine. When he got back to his car, he discovered he had a new Sentry Mode event. When he reviewed it, he found that some kids had stolen his valve stem covers. When he showed the video to his friends, they told him that this is some sort of TikTok trend. What these kids didn't know is that Sentry Mode is always watching. He recognized the kids and found the father of one of them and told him what had happened. The removed valve stem covers were promptly returned to him. The father promised to tell the children not to do this anymore. Of course, this all feels irrelevant considering what's going on now. We hope the submitter, the kids, and their father are all safe, as this has been one of the hardest hit cities. We've made numerous attempts, but we haven't been able to reach the submitter. We set a high goal of $5,000 for our fundraising effort. We hope you'll help us reach the goal and maybe even surpass it. Even if you can't donate, you can still help by sending this video to your friends and sharing it on social media. We've committed to giving as much as we can to help the people of Ukraine. This horrible conflict has to stop.